Welcome to the Flora podcast, a place where we help you create a life you're excited about. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are going to talk about reinventing yourself. If you're new to my channel, I'm Flora Sage. For over 25 years, I've been helping people like you align into a life or a business that you are wildly obsessed with by helping you clear the 9 types of clutter keeping you from a life that you love. Those 9 types of clutter are mental, spiritual, emotional, digital, financial, daily, body, process, and environmental clutter. And today we are going to clear out a lot of random little clutter. Okay, so we're going to talk about reinventing yourself. Over the last several weeks, we have been talking about who you have become in the process of your life. We've been talking about how we all don't have the same 24 hours. We've been talking about mindset and how that experiment with the 15 minutes versus the 60 hours. If you didn't listen to that, that was podcast number 144. We also talked about those sacred pivot points in our life when we can choose to either do that thing that we've never done before or stay stuck or stagnant. We also talked about the version of ourselves that we're living and what we feed our mind. And we also talked about last week about making space and room for integration and making space for that version of ourselves who we are becoming. So today we're going to talk about how to truly reinvent yourself. And it's actually quite easier than you think. A few weeks ago, again, we talked about who you are becoming and who you are now, and marrying those lists together and starting to take little actions. And that's what reinventing yourself is all about. When you think about, so I got a couple things that I want to share here. When you think about your family life, everybody has a role. You've got mother, father, daughter, son, aunt, uncle, cousin, grandmother, grandfather, yada, yada. And once children age out, they're 18, 21, whatever, they leave the house, they no longer need a quote unquote parent to teach them how to tie their shoes or make their bed or whatever. So then roles then change from role to role, mother, father, son, daughter, to then soul to soul. It's person to person. But often people stay stuck in these roles and they miss an opportunity to really have that deeper connection with a parent, with a sibling, or with a caregiver. So just as you can reinvent your relationship with your parent, instead of I'm mom, you're my son, we can then now shift it to person to person. So I am a person who's 47. I'm a business owner. I'm an empty nester. My youngest son, he right now is 24. He has a partner. He's got a great job. She's got a great job. They've got the fabulous little dog named Luna. She's so sweet. My oldest son, he is 27 right now. He has a fiance. He manages a restaurant. They have a fabulous a fabulous house in Hawaii, and they are living their best life. And so when we connect with each other, we try to dismiss the mother-son role and just come together as two people having a conversation. So we had to work at reinventing the parameters of our relationship because they're adults. 27 and 24, they are adults. They do not need me to mother them. If they want me to, sure, but I had to cut the umbilical long ago and allow myself to reinvent our relationship. And it was an active partnership to reinvent what that looks like as just two people having a conversation, okay? So I give you that example to kind of illustrate what it looks like to reinvent something. Now, for those of you who have followed me for a long time, you've seen me reinvent myself many, many times over. Many times on this podcast, I've talked about the phases of your life and how you show up differently in each phase of your life. I'm very different as an empty nester versus as an active mom to toddlers, okay? So that version of myself that was present when I was raising my babies doesn't need to be present here now that I'm an empty nester. So I had to reinvent what my life, what my activities, what my daily to-dos looked like. And so when you go into your life, this version of you that you're becoming, how do you want it to look? How do you want it to feel? When you are in this new iteration, this new evolution of your life, really start to dream. Really start to ask yourself, what would feel really good? What would feel in alignment? Maybe you love going for walks. Maybe you live by a nature trail, okay? Or you have access to one. What would it feel like for you? Okay, and right now you don't go for walks, but you really want to because you really, really love them. What would it feel like for you in this new version of yourself, this reinvention of yourself? What would it feel like if twice a week you were to commit to going for a walk at that nature trail? What would it feel like? And just really ask yourself, what would it feel like if I went for a walk? Like, what would it feel like for me to have done this every week? And I want you to write that question down. What would it feel like to have done this? You can fill it in the blank. What would it feel like to have worked out every day? What would it feel like to have had a smoothie every morning? What would it feel like to have called my grandfather every day? What would it feel like to have done this? Now, typically, when we get into that feeling space of having done that particular thing, it feels really good. It feels really, really good. And you're like, wow, I like that feeling of, what would it feel like to have done this? Use that as motivation to do it. When you look at your to-do list and you say, oh, okay, I've got to do this, this, and this, and you're like, oh, I really don't feel like doing it. Change the verbiage. What would it feel like to have done this at the end of the day? Oh, you know what? That actually would feel really, really good. And usually that will shift the momentum and shift the energy so that you will then do that thing, okay? So in order to reinvent yourself, you're going to be doing things that you don't do right now, or that you don't do consistently, or that you don't do for that certain period of time. So one of the ways that you can start to convince yourself, to coax yourself into this new version of yourself is, what would feel good to have done? What would it feel like if I have already done this? What would it feel like if at the end of the day, when I was laying down, I knew I worked out for 20 minutes, or I called my grandfather, or I wrote that thank you note, or I cleaned the kitchen, or I wrote that extra email, or I recorded that podcast, or I applied for that job, or I didn't spend extra money today, or I invested some, whatever version of you that you are inventing for yourself, what would it feel like to have already done it? Because the thing is that the life that you have, you invented the version of yourself that you are right now. You invented it by what you do. You invented it by the actions that you take every single day. So if you invented this version of yourself, of course, you can invent another version of yourself that feels more in alignment with the person that you really truly want to become. And that person that you really truly want to be. And it just takes you doing it and just taking action. But sometimes you don't know what actions to take. And that's what this process is all about. That's what this process is all about, is if I were that future version of myself, if I were that version of myself that I know I am becoming, what would I eat? What would I do? What would my hobbies be? Who would I hang out with? All those things. How would I show up? Like, what time would I go to bed? What time would I wake up? Again, ask yourself, this is the person that you know you're becoming. You truly know that you are becoming that person. So why not start now? And again, we talked about this a few podcasts ago. Baby steps. That's what the 1 degree shift is all about. You want to get up at 5 o'clock? Go to bed at 9. Maybe you're going to sit there for 2 hours and just kind of fiddle fart around in bed and not really, you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm thinking about all these things, whatever. I'm not used to going to bed till midnight. It is going to take a little bit of time for your circadian rhythms to shift. That's okay. If you don't want to lay in bed for 2 hours, you normally go to bed at midnight, go to bed at 11:30. The next night, go to bed at 11. The next night, go to bed at 10:30. Baby steps. That's what the 1 degree shift is all about. This is a tried and true method. Tried and true method. I am telling you, these are the things that when I started sharing the 1 degree method with people, it was shocking at how quickly people started to see results and how easy it was for them. They were just like, holy shit, I can't believe this is so easy. But the biggest key for the 1 degree shift is to know where you're going. Who do you want to become? Who are you? Who do you want to become? And then what do you need to do to get there? 1 baby step every day. That's it. That's it. You can reinvent who you are 1 baby step at a time. It's 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time sometimes. Give yourself permission to just try it. Give yourself permission to say, okay, today I'm going to wake up 10 minutes earlier. Or I'm not going to eat that extra piece of bread. Or I'm going to plan my meals and stick to it. Or I'm going to say something if something bothers me instead of not saying something. Only you know what version of yourself you are ready to step into. Only you know what version of yourself is ready to emerge from that chrysalis. And only you are the one that can do it. Now, yes, the people that you hang out with do matter. So again, who do you surround yourself with? What do you consume? Is it helping to inspire the version of you that you are becoming? Or is the stuff that you consume pulling you down? Is it disempowering you? Is it causing self-doubt? Is it causing laziness? Is it causing you to fear that next step? If it is, unfollow, unsubscribe. Don't talk to, no talkie, was what I was going to say. But you got to give yourself permission to just recognize that this is your life. The longer that you wait to take action, the longer you are keeping yourself from being ultimately happy. I mean, so happy that you stop and you ask yourself, why the hell am I so happy? Like, what is going on here? You got to give yourself permission to recognize that your happiness is in your hands and your hands alone. And all you have to do to get there is to have a clear vision of where you are going. I end every single podcast like that. Where are you going? Who do you want to become? And give yourself permission to reinvent yourself. Have that clear vision. Have that clear vision and be willing to take that baby step. Willingness is huge. Willingness is huge because if you could set all the goals you want to, but if you're not willing to take a step, you're just wasting your time. You are just wasting your time. Oh yeah, I want to work out every day and I want to eat healthy and I want to meal plan and I want to invest this, but I'm not going to take any action. No, that's not how it works. Give yourself permission to dream of who you want to become. And then have the willingness to take that 1 baby step every single day. Every single day. Maybe you're on social media 4 hours a day. Cut it back to 3. Next week, cut it back to 2. The next week, maybe cut it back to 1 hour a week or a day. But give yourself permission to start taking baby steps. Start taking baby steps. One of the biggest things that I want you to think about this week, and I want you to reflect on as you are creating this reinvention list of yours. And as you start to implement this, I want you to pay attention to the feedback that you're getting from yourself. What feels exciting? What feels good? What are you proud of for doing? What are you proud of? I'm proud of myself. I worked out today. Hell yeah. Celebrate that shit. Celebrate it. So many people don't celebrate stuff. So many people just check shit off of a list and still feel like crap because they didn't get the other 5 things done. They did 20, but they didn't do that last 5, so therefore I'm a failure because I didn't do all of it. No. Even do one thing. Celebrate that shit. Celebrate yourself. Every single day that you show up for yourself, you are showing up for that future version of yourself. That future version of yourself that is aligned into a version that is so happy and is so peaceful and so content that your people in your life will stop you and say, what are you doing? You seem so happy. You seem so content. You seem so peaceful. You seem just so much different and better. I want what you have. What is that? What is that little essence? And it's because you're living a life that you have created. You are living a life that you intentionally created. You stopped and you said, what is working? What is not working? What feels good? What doesn't feel good? Who am I becoming? And who am I in the meantime? And give yourself permission to take those baby steps. And that, my friends, is how you reinvent yourself. Is you have that vision of that person that you know you are inside. You know that you can become. And you know, just like we were talking about before and several other podcasts ago, this is like jumping the Grand Canyon. You can't just do it in one go. You got to take those steps, but those steps, time is going to pass by anyway. Time is going to pass by anyway. So why not take a step towards where you want to go? Instead of taking a step side to side, side to side. When you're taking that step side to side and just rocking back and forth by not doing anything, you're staying in the same spot. And your whole being is just craving being on the other side of that damn Grand Canyon. But if you're standing here rocking side to side, just kind of going with the flow and staying in your comfort zone, time is going to pass by. You're just watching everybody else cross the Grand Canyon. And then you're like, shit, why can't I do that? Just pick up your foot. Again, this is that sacred pivot point. Just take that first step and then take that next step and then take that next step. You got to give yourself permission to do this. And I'm telling you, when you do, you are going to feel so proud of yourself. And yeah, every day your energy is going to shift. Some days you're super energetic, other days not so much. But that's why we have these little mini habits. That's why we do a little 1 degree shift every day. 3 yoga poses, going to bed 10 minutes earlier, waking up 10 minutes earlier, planning your meal, having some frozen meals. So if you don't feel like making shit, that's fine. Grab a freezer meal that you know will give you energy, that you know will make you feel good. It's okay to plan little mini tiny steps and mini tiny habits. The easiest way to fail is to go big or go home, is to do it all in one go. The most successful people have gotten there by taking baby steps every single day. Tiny baby steps every single day. I know you can do this because I have helped thousands of people in the last 25 years do this. And that's what I want for you. Time is going to pass by anyway. Don't let any more time go past without consciously having that intention of doing something that feels really, really good for that future version of yourself. And that future version starts the second that you decide it does. If you want my help with this, click the link in the show notes that says Align Your Life. Let's get started right away. Let's not waste any more time of your precious life. I love you. I hope this serves you today. And remember, all it takes is a clear vision of where you are and where you want to be, and the willingness to take a single 1-degree shift every single day in that direction to align into a life that you are wildly obsessed with and so deeply happy. Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. All links mentioned are in today's show notes.